Welcome to another episode of the Tiny House Master Plan. Now, I'm actually down in Calgary area to teach a tiny house workshop this weekend. But while I'm down here, I thought I'd drop by and visit my good friend Michael. Him and his girlfriend Sarah have this gorgeous 24-foot long tiny house, and I can't wait for you to see it.
Hey guys, welcome to our home. So as you can see, I did black metal siding on the front and back, partly for aesthetics, but also metal is recyclable, and as well, it lasts about 25 years. It's very, very durable. I didn't want all metal because that would just look like a shed. So I did, cedar on the outside. I think it's very pretty, very nice. And if you'll notice here, got my little personalized license plate. I just had to do that. That was just for fun. And as you'll see here, I did a shed style roof, very simple design. We have a loft up top, so having a regular roof wouldn't really work for that. And just for fun, I added some pot lights on the outside to light it up at nighttime. So we come on this side. In the top, this is the window for the loft. We'll show you the bedroom later on. It allows some air to get up there, nicely ventilated. In the back here with these two windows, this is our living room area. So I had one solid window, and then I added a window that opens, again, to allow fresh air to get in. You'll see here, this is the range hood vent. So that's the kitchen area. You'll see the galley-style kitchen coming up here pretty quick. And I had to have a window in front of my sink because it's nice and bright and sunny and nice. I built access doors into the siding. And I didn't put any handles on. I won't show you how to open it. It's a secret, no. And that's why I've got my tanks here. I've got 270 liter fresh and gray water tanks, and that lasts us about a week. This is the bathroom on this side, and this is actually our dehydrating toilet. Has a vent, so it vents to the outside, and that's where we ended up putting that. All right, we'll show you the front of the house here. So we did do a big propane tank, a pig tank. It's 300 some liters. It lasts quite a while. It's quite convenient. I do have two smaller 40 liters there. If we are moving a little more frequently, we can use those. And that's our propane tank. And you look over here, you'll see a ladder. I didn't just put that there by accident. That's our bathroom window. And that's our cat door. Because Sarah wanted to put a cat door in the main door, and I said no, because it's going to let too much cold air in. So we did some research, and I guess they put cat doors in apartments. Why not put in a window, right? So that's how she gets in and out. Let's check out the front a little bit more. Here I've got an access door, and that's where I have different storage, and also my batteries are in here. And this is a vent, so you want to vent the batteries. So I have made a nice little, fancy little grill for that. And this does open up for the extra storage space, and then my battery storage. And I've got six 6-volt batteries in series and parallel. And I did actually build a slide on here, so these slide out when I want to fill the liquids or just check the batteries. Very convenient, works very well. Inside there, this is a utility room. I've got a 2,000 watt inverter that's in there, and then the water tanks on that side. Here, this comes off, not so easily. We've got the water heater and then the furnace, so those vent out. And that's where they're located, in that utility room, which is below the bathroom, which worked very well. It's 2 feet, and so that allowed me to have a lot more storage underneath, because where do you put all that stuff, right? There we go. Perfect. Oh, a couple more things on the outside that we didn't show you before. We added this little mosquito net, which is nice in the summertime, so we can leave the door open, lets the air in, keeps the bugs out. And this is a fun thing here. This is my exterior light, so you want to light the outside up. But with a tiny house, you got that 8.5 feet, right? You don't want stuff sticking out. And with this, it's also sleek. I didn't want something really bulky. So what I did, I actually cut a hole in the wall, and I built my own light, and then I put it inside. And this is plexiglass and then just a metal frame, and then it's sealed up. So it's aesthetically beautiful and functional. Look at that. I think that's about enough for the outside. Let's come check out the inside. Oh, you beat me in here. So welcome to my home. First I'm going to show you the kitchen, then the living room, then I think the bedroom, and then the bathroom. So, welcome to our kitchen. As you'll see, we have a barn door here that actually is the bathroom door. And just behind here, I decided to hide all of my solar stuff. So this is my inverter charger, and this is my solar controller. So it's out of the way because it's not very pretty. I'm very much about aesthetics with this house, but it is functional, so it's good just to keep it nearby. I also find that this actually lights up, and at nighttime it gets kind of bright, so it was nice to be able to cover that up. So we did a galley-style kitchen. I think it makes the best use of the space, but also is very beautiful. This is actually hardwood flooring. We live on a farm here in southern Alberta, and the owner was kind enough to give us some recycled hardwood flooring. And so everything you see here I've built myself from the raw material. So I took this, glued it all together, sanded it down, and then stained it, and I think it really turned out really well. To save space in the kitchen, I have actually 2 drying racks. I kind of took that from the European design where some of them they had drying racks in the actual cupboards themselves. I didn't want to do that, so I thought this was a nice way to accomplish that. Originally, I built this on a hinge, and this is actually stainless steel, so it didn't need to be painted. But then we find we do so many dishes anyways, I just keep this up here all the time. And so there's, using that vertical space, lots of space for dishes because we do a lot of dishes, but I'm not taking up that counter space, which is at such a premium. And so I built all of the drawers myself. They are Baltic birch, which is a very high quality wood that you can use for cabinets. And that was a lot of fun. A lot of work. That was sarcasm. But what I did just, partly it was for a weight thing. So you're going to see throughout this tiny house a lot of metal used. 2 reasons. One, again, weight, because it can be lighter. Also, I'm a welder. I love metals and the things it can do, and so that really brings out some of my skills. And when you're talking about designs of houses, sometimes with architecture, they talk about the landscape and where the house is informs what it looks like. And with a tiny house, obviously you're on the road, maybe you've moved, you don't get that, but I'm from Lethbridge, and a big part of that is a coal mining community. There's the bridge, so you're going to see a lot of black, you're going to see a lot of metal, you see a lot of wood and natural elements. So I tried to take as much of Lethbridge into the house and then with me on the road. So we do try to keep cool. As you saw on the outside, the siding is black. That does allow a lot of heat in. We did do spray foam insulation on the inside, so it's a very high quality, high R value insulation. And to keep it cool, like we're off grid, so we're not going to do an air conditioner. It's just going to take too much power. So I did add a ceiling fan, and that allows the air to circulate. There we go. Hey, it's on, yes. And then obviously having windows that open in different areas to allow the air to flow through the bathroom, through the kitchen, through the living room. Allowing that airflow really helps. I also put a window purposely in the loft to get that airflow up in that higher space as well. And so for us being off grid, we want to rely as little as possible on electronic devices. So we used a gas range, which uses propane, and we actually use a lot of things on the stove in order not to use electronic appliances. So this is actually a toaster that works on the stovetop. Boom, no toaster. We have our popcorn popper. Many things are using this range instead of using electronics, and that really saves on our solar power. As I said, I built all my drawers, but the wheel wells are actually underneath here on both sides. And so I had to build around the wheel well, so that's fun. This is my spice rack. Isn't that great? So lots of storage, drawers everywhere. Works really well. And originally, actually, I had some recycling here, but we decided to put that outside, and we use this for other things, for pantry things, because everything you see here, this is all the space we have. So if you have to fit pantry stuff, food stuff, it's got to go somewhere. I did put a drawer as well under my fridge because it is a bit smaller, elevated, and why not? So actually I really found that once I started learning how to build my own drawers and cabinets, I just want to put drawers everywhere. And you're going to see that a little later in some other areas. Another way to save space in the kitchen and keep this countertop clear was actually most houses have a range hood and they go into the cabinets, and that's fine. But I decided to switch it up, and actually I put a shelf on top of the range hood. And that way when we're cooking, as you can see with my toaster, that can just live up here. And it's not sitting on the countertop. It's out of the way. It's still accessible. So I think that's really a fun use of space right here. So we went with the unique 12-volt solar fridge. Again, being off-grid, I didn't want to use propane as much as I could. Obviously didn't want to use a conventional fridge. So we went with that, and so far we're pretty happy with it. It runs pretty well. Probably uses the most power out of anything in the house. but we can manage with our system, and it's a good size actually for 2 people. So that was the kitchen. Let's move on to the living room. A couple things I want to talk about before I go in the space is windows. So we try to position the windows in places that we're going to be sitting, we're going to be living. You really want to find a balance between having the whole thing be windows and no storage space, or having like no windows and just being in a box. So I think we found a nice balance, and the way we did that was also adding skylights, because the roof really is just, empty real estate. So why not put a window up there? That's what a skylight is. Another thing with this design here, so like I said, we're going to see a lot of metal in my design because I'm a welder, but I also like the functionality of it. So with this is 1-inch square tubing, and so my loft is 1 inch thick essentially, plus the bed, right? So if you did this in 2x4s or 2x6s, you're adding a lot more material. So now I've got just over 6 feet in the loft, and then, I've got just over 6 feet in the living room, and then more space in the loft as well, which you'll see later. So really maximizing that, using that material to the best of its abilities. So in the living room, it is probably one of the best multi-purpose spaces in the house. So it is a place where we sit and we eat. And so this is our table. And I've got this on hinges. Yeah, you're seeing that same hardwood from the farm as in the kitchen. That's going to be throughout. It's just beautiful and very functional. So this goes into a modular system. We can have up to 4 people sitting at this table. Or you can just slide it away. This is a couch area. We had our cushions done at Ducan in Lethbridge. They do custom upholstery. So this is actually a living room or kind of dining room, and it does convert into a queen-size guest bed. So this table you see here is actually 2 different boxes, and it's the exact same height as these boxes. So it comes down, and then cushions that are in the corner there, which you can't see right now, go on top of there, and then you have a full queen-size guest bed. Because we like to host people, and so I thought I want a queen-size guest bed in a 24-foot tiny house. That's pretty good. So this is actually a fire hose nozzle. And I got it from an antique store, and I was actually going to use that in my shower, and then I realized that was a bad idea. It also weighs like 50 pounds. Not really, but way too heavy, but we kept it as a bookend. Fun things you learn along the way with the build. And back here we have a cat, as I mentioned, so we put our things back here, the scratching post, her feeder, things like that. So she's got a little space to play and run. And then as this comes in, I also built a shelf here. It does go underneath the shelf. If we need more space, if you want to do yoga or something in here, you can. And of course, maximizing that space, we have our bigger books there, and that works pretty well. So next we're going to go up to the loft bedroom area. Before we go, I just want to show you the closet. So I did put this across from the kitchen, and I purposely made it quite shallow. I think it's really tempting to, when you're maximizing storage space, to make as much storage as you can. And if I made this deeper to allow more storage space, now I'm cutting into my walking space, right? But because this is so shallow, I did this on purpose. Now I can, open my arms up if I need to. I could be cooking, Sarah can be walking past me. So it really makes the space feel very open, especially when you're coming in this entryway. So I sacrificed a bit of storage, but I think I really gained in how open it feels. So here we have our jackets, our hats, things like that. And I put doors on here. They're quite big doors, but they keep everything nice and neat and tidy. We've got space for plants up there to get the sun from the skylight. I put drawers in here for all our little small things, the cat treats, the cords, all those things you just want to get tucked away. And as always, Baltic birch, I built all of these. This is a metal square tubing, and then I did a plywood on the doors here. Down here we have our shoes, as you need. I built this especially high, so that way we can allow winter boots. Then in the summer we have the extra space. And these actually are from IKEA. They're just a little space-saving thing that you can use. They're not super pretty, but it allows a lot more shoes in that amount of space. So we're going to move up to the loft area. And as you'll see, I put in I call it a quarter spiral staircase, not a full spiral staircase. And I built this out of metal tubing because, again, I love metal. And I think it also saves weight and space. So this whole thing without the drawers is probably like 50 pounds. Like, it was actually fairly light for what it is. I didn't put drawers in here. I just wanted to keep this open, but I think it worked pretty well. I also, this isn't my design, but I did copy another design where I put the landing into the stairs. So a lot of tiny houses, they have a ladder up to the loft or they have stairs. But then once you're up there, you're crawling around and you have to change, you have to, make the bed, things like that. Whereas here, when I go up, I'm able to stand up here. Again, I've got about 6 feet of height, so it's very comfortable and very functional. And of course, with most tiny houses, you do have to put some drawers in the stairs. So I did put closed drawers into the stairs here. Nice big deep ones, so we put a lot of our sweaters and our pants and things. All right, so in the loft I have a nightstand here, so got lots of space for things to sit. And then I did put extra storage space in here. And I also put a plug-in in here if you ever want to charge a phone or something. And then we have our sock drawer and stuff, so always making use of those drawers. I haven't talked about this yet, but the walls are actually made of aluminum, so it's 15 gauge aluminum painted white. And so I did that for a couple reasons. One is the aesthetics. I didn't want to do tongue and groove. You can't do drywall. I wanted that modern aesthetic, so I think the aluminum works really well. It's also very reflective, so it reflects the light. You're using fewer lights. And then also it's a lot lighter, so it was a little more expensive, but we really cut down on the weight with that part. And then at the end of the bed, we actually have our dresser, which is a little more unique. So our dresser actually is mounted to the ceiling. Mostly that was just to get it out of the way, because you want that extra storage space. So I did put drawers, again, into here for all our stuff, and then some shelves here, but it's actually hanging from the roof, which was a fun design thing. And it also lets a little bit of space, air, and light through here, so I wanted to keep it a little more open as well. But it also cuts the space off. It gives you a bit more privacy as well, because if you had some tiny houses, they have a bed that goes up and down, and you don't have as much privacy. So it's nice to have that to just block the way a little bit. So before we go to the bathroom, I want to show you one more thing in this kitchen area. Is this little thing up here. You may not know what that is right away, but this is actually a chin-up bar, because I like to do chin-ups. So I thought, hey, I want to put that into my tiny house. So I put in a chin-up bar. So I got my home gym there. And then just to make use of the space even more, I added these pieces of metal, and that's actually a drying rack for clothes. So we have just a little extra space to dry our towels and shirts and stuff. So a fun little thing that's up there and out of the way. All right, let's go to the bathroom. So most tiny house bathrooms are quite small. This one's actually pretty big, and the reason for that is, as I mentioned before, my maintenance room is below this. So I've got 2 tanks, I've got batteries, I've got a furnace. So all that stuff takes up space. So naturally this just became, it's actually about 5 feet deep by about 7 feet. So for a tiny house, it's actually a pretty big bathroom, and that makes Sarah very happy. But it's a little small to film in, so let's just go piece by piece. So as you come in, you're gonna see the sink here. Again, hardwood. And making use of that space as much as I can, I had a little fun thing I added here. So you see this handle? Actually, I put drawers around the sink. It was a bit more work, but I think it really paid off in storage space. So something maybe you wouldn't normally think of. More drawers, and actually we have, again, our cat. So we actually put the cat litter here. That's why there's a big old hole in this door. That one's okay. And then I've got a medicine cabinet here that I made, again, out of metal and aluminum. Basic medicine cabinet and a mirror. And as always, aesthetics are important. I put a light on either side of the mirror. It gives you some nice light for your face. And from the outside, cat door. So this is where the cat jumps up and then she goes out. And then when we don't want her to go out, we close the window. It's perfect. As I mentioned, we do have what I call a dehydrating toilet. This is the separate Villa, and it's the 12-volt version. It's the off-grid version. And so it's actually, in the name, separate. It separates the liquid waste and the solid waste. I did clean it, but here's a shot of that. And so with this the liquid goes into a holding tank, and then the solid waste goes into a container, and then you can dispose of that, either compost it, bury it, various things. So we find that's great because it doesn't use any water, and that's really important as well. So the shower, again, I built myself. This is made of the aluminum. And so I chose that obviously to match the walls, but also, it's mildew resistant, it's easy to clean, it's waterproof, it's going to last a long time. And there's a fun little detail I want to show you talking about water and the shower. Come a little closer here. So talking about water, I want to show you something that's kind of fun in our house and very useful. So we've got our regular faucet here, but then there's a little handle here. You might ask, why did I put a handle in the shower? So every faucet in our tiny house has that. And we have an on-demand water heater, so there's no water tank, and that's to save energy, so it's not constantly heating up water. But what I found when I was testing out the system is that I would turn it on, and although it's fast, it took a little while for the water to heat up. And so I was wasting that water just going down the drain. So I installed what's called a diverter, and so the water actually, the hot water goes through the system, it stops here, and then when I switch this over, it actually runs back into the freshwater tank. And so we do that, when I turn this, it's cycling the water, it's heating it up, but I'm not actually wasting the water. And then when I'm ready, when it's hot, I switch it back, and then it goes to the hot water faucet. So we find that's really useful when we're showering and doing dishes, not to waste water. The thing I love about the showers is our shower curtain rod. And everything in this house and most tiny houses is custom because it's a unique space. You can't just go out and buy it. So I actually had to have this custom made, bent up. So this is a piece of pipe just to fit this space, but it's actually quite strong and I just really like it. I had it powder coated, so it's gonna really hold up and matches the aesthetic as well. And that's the house.
Michael, this has been such a pleasure checking out your guys' gorgeous tiny house.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
You pack so much into a small space. I'm not gonna lie, 24 feet long, 2 people, all that storage, and tip of the hat for just how much of it you did yourselves.
Yeah, it was a lot of work. It took 4 years and it wasn't always easy, but I'll tell you about that a little later.
Yeah, you will. Stay tuned, guys. We're gonna have another episode where we do an interview with Michael and we talk about their journey going tiny. They'll share some of their lessons, how they did it, and some more of the itty-bitty, nitty-gritty details. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe down below and follow along this journey. We're gonna be interviewing more tiny housers like Michael and Sarah, and we're also showing you how we design and build a tiny house. Go on tour with it across Canada and then give it away for free. So make sure to subscribe for your chance to win, and more contest information is down below in the description. Otherwise, take care and we'll see you in the next episode of the Tiny House Master Plan.